Welcome to the Extra Point Show of the greatest team season. I am your host, Nick Rice. With stats, highlights, and analysis from all of the weekend's best games, we recap Week 2 of the greatest team season on Thursday night in Chicago. 1978 Steelers, 1985 Bears. This was a Thursday night matchup to debut the DSFL radio, and it was a sensational game. Bradshaw and the Steelers drive in for the tie before league MVP favorite Walter Payton scores his second touchdown of the day. With another 147 yards, Payton has been downright incredible this year and was the sole reason for the Bears' 21-14 win. Check out the rushing yard number on the bottom. Pittsburgh was outgained on the ground 156-8. You're not going to win many football games running the ball like that. 2015 Panthers, 1998 Falcons. Atlanta has lost 2 games this year by a total of 2 points, and this one was more gut-wrenching than the last. The Falcons kept settling for field goals and led the game 9-0 at the half. Then Chandler throws a critical third-quarter interception to Luke Kuechly, and that completely swings the momentum of this game. Carolina scores 10 in a row and wins it by a point. 10-9 is your final, and Carolina is 2-0. 1987 Browns at the 1998 Broncos. The game of the week featured 2 teams in opposite directions. It's hard to really tell what Denver is this year. Are they the team that blew an 18-point lead last week, or that scored 17 unanswered to win the game this week? John Elway's Broncos outgained the Browns in the final 2:19 of the ballgame, 135-11. So it seems as though the Broncos shook off their rust of last week, but we will see in Week 3 if Denver can keep it going. There were some great performances highlighting Week 2 of the greatest team season, but I've got just 2 game balls. Charger Dude 95 offers the Offensive and Defensive Player of the Week. The Offensive Player of the Week award was with no debates. Wide receiver Wes Welker of the 07 Patriots was absolutely unguardable. Double coverage, zone, safeties, linebackers, they threw everything at this man, and he still set a near all-time wide receiver record for the New England Patriots. 9 grabs for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns. That'll get it done, and the Patriots are 2-0. For some reason, the Vikings have been one of the best defenses in the NFL this year. Fresh off a Defensive Player of the Week to Antonio Banks, it was Ed McDaniel's turn with a 9-tackle, 1 sack, and a pick-6 performance against Detroit and Eric Kramer. And while the Lions quarterback hasn't been good at all this year, Ed McDaniel was still the best Defensive Player of the Week and earns Charger Dude 95's game ball for his performance in the Vikings win. Fresh off Ed McDaniel's star performance, the 98 Vikings joined the 85 Bears at 2-0 in the NFC North. But the surprise of this division has been the performance of the 96 Packers. Brett Favre has struggled, they've had little defense this year, and Green Bay is 0-2 to begin the season. Meanwhile, let's move to the AFC West, where there is a tight 2-horse race between division leaders Kansas City and San Diego. But the story of this division has to be at the bottom, where Super Bowl champion Oakland is off to a tough start this year, and while it's early in the season, it almost feels like their game against Denver in Week 3 is a must-win for them. So those are your 2 division standings after 2 weeks of the year. Week 2 was pretty good, but Week 3 is even better. Let's check out the upcoming docket of the greatest team season. And here's your full slate of games for Week 3 of the greatest team season, and it begins with 9 early games in the 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific window, featuring the marquee matchup between 2 outstanding offenses, the 89 Niners and the 98 Vikings in Minneapolis. Meanwhile, there are 5 afternoon football games with 2 more in primetime. Sunday night between the 06 Colts and the 08 Cardinals, and a battle of unbeatens between the 15 Panthers and the 92 Cowboys on Monday Night Football. It should be a great Week 3 of games, and I've got 3 of them to break down right now. From CenturyLink Field, the 85 Bears and the 13 Seahawks. In a battle between two incredible running backs, right now, there couldn't be a bigger gap. Walter Payton is on an MVP pace with 4 touchdowns. Marshawn Lynch hasn't found pay dirt yet and is averaging just 3.2 yards a carry this year. The Seahawks are going to need plenty of assistance from Wilson to the offense, with maybe a bit of additional help out of the defense if they are to knock out the kings of the NFC North in the 85 Chicago Bears. 1996 Packers to the 1999 Rams in St. Louis. Well, the Rams are rolling right now with 2 critical wins to begin the season. Ironically, the Cardinals and the Rams, Kurt Warner, have the exact same touchdowns to interceptions, 5-0, but for St. Louis, their offense has been even better than Arizona. 3rd in scoring with a +2 turnover margin to rank 6th in the greatest team season. Meanwhile, for Brett Favre, it's been a rough year. 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He's going to need all sorts of magic to keep pace with the greatest show on turf in St. Louis. And a loss in Week 3 would be detrimental to Green Bay's playoff chances, so it almost feels like a must-win for him on the road for Week 3 of the year. 1998 Broncos at the 1976 Raiders. Speaking of must-win football games, Oakland would fall behind 2.5 games of 3rd in the AFC West with a loss here to the Denver Broncos. The Raiders, ironically, are 0-2 despite being the only team in the league without a single penalty committed this year. And if the 76 Raiders were known for anything, it's the fact they couldn't stop committing penalties en route to their Super Bowl blowout over Minnesota. This should be an incredible football game between division rivals, Denver and Oakland. Until next week, visit DreamSeasonFootballLeague.com. That is DreamSeasonFootballLeague.com for all statistics, insight, and analysis of everything going on in the greatest team season. I'm your host, Nick Rice, and this has been The Extra Point.